National standards for education.
Absolutely not. The closer education is to home, the better the education is.
Shut down the Department of Education.
I actually have something I would use the Department of Education to do.
Would it be pack boxes for the State Department? The IRS?
No, it would be to monitor our institutions of higher education for extreme political bias and deny federal funding if it exists. This has been going on long before this administration, though. This has been going on for 30, 40, 50 years. It's called the Progressive Agenda. And, you know, there's a book. There's a book called The Naked Communists by Cleon Scution. It was written in 1958. And it goes through the agenda that they have here to fundamentally change our country. I recommend that book because you would think it was written last year. But I believe that this is well orchestrated, and the thing that they need in order to finally achieve their goal is for people with common sense to keep their mouths shut. And that's what we can't do. We have to stand up for what we believe in. If you look in a lot of the writings of the neo-Marxists, when they talk about the New World Order, they say there's only one stick in the mud, the United States. How do you get them out of the way, or how do you change them? And they said there were two fundamental things: their Judeo-Christian faith and their strong families.
If Hillary Clinton is the nominee and she comes at you with that kind of line of attack, how will you take her on?
If Hillary is the candidate, which I doubt, that would be a dream come true. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, she is the epitome of the secular progressive movement. And she counts on the fact that people are uninformed, the Alinsky model, taking advantage of useful idiots. Well, I just happen to believe that people are not stupid. And the way I will come at it is to educate people, help people to actually understand that it is that progressive movement that is causing them the problems. You know, you look at the national debt and how it's being driven up. If I was trying to destroy this country, what I would do is find a way to drive wedges between all the people, drive the debt to an unsustainable level, and then step off the stage as a world leader and let our enemies increase while we decreased our capacity as a military person, and that's what she's doing. I have had a gun held on me when I was in a Popeyes organization.
Wait, you eat Popeyes as a doctor? Was this before you were a doctor?
At any rate, the guy comes in, puts the gun in my ribs, and I just said, I believe that you want the guy behind the counter. He thought I was.
That's what you said? In that calm way?
In that calm way,
okay.
He said, oh, okay. He went over there.
And, so you just redirected him to...
Redirected
okay.
him to
Court just heard a case on same-sex marriage. As President of the United States, what are you prepared to do to preserve traditional marriage?
Well, first of all, we have to understand how the Constitution works. The President is required to, carry out the laws of the land. The laws of the land come from the legislative branch. So if the legislative branch creates a law or changes the law, the executive branch has the responsibility to carry it out. Doesn't say that they have the responsibility to carry out a judicial law. But this is a very basic right. This is a Judeo-Christian nation in the sense that a lot of our values and principles are based on our Judeo-Christian faith. And when there are substantial numbers of people who actually believe in the traditional definition of marriage, I'm one of them. Doesn't mean that I don't think other people can do whatever they want to do, but I don't actually believe that they have the right to force their way of life upon everybody else, nor would I try to force my way of life upon everybody else.
He's full of shit!
And this is where some intellect has to come into place. And, our legislators need to sit down and ask themselves, how do we make sure that the rights of all Americans are protected? This requires a little bit of effort. We must also recognize that we, the people, are not each other's enemies. There are those who are always trying to stir up trouble. They are always trying to drive wedges between us. And, they tell you that there's a war on women. There is no war on women. There may be a war on what's inside of women, but there is no war on women in this country.
We got one more. We do, though. Let's listen to him on the theory of evolution.
I personally believe that this theory that Darwin came up with was something that was encouraged by the adversary. And it has become what is scientifically, politically correct. Amazingly, there are a significant number of scientists who do not believe it, but they're afraid to say anything.
These people are watching the Flintstones as if it were a documentary.
Ben Carson recently had an interview with Marketplace, and during the interview, he was asked what he plans on doing about the debt ceiling. Would he raise the debt ceiling to prevent the United States from defaulting on its debts? Well, it doesn't seem like Ben Carson really knows. Take a look.
All right, so let's talk about debt then and the budget. As you know, Treasury Secretary Lew has come out in the last couple of days and said, we're going to run out of money. We're going to run out of borrowing authority on the 5th of November. Should the Congress then and the president not raise the debt limit? Should we default on our debt?
Let me put it this way. If I were the president, I would not sign an increased budget. Absolutely would not do it. They would have to find a place to cut.
To be clear, it's increasing the debt limit, not the budget. But I want to make sure I understand you. You'd let the United States default rather than raise the debt limit.
You have no brain.
No, I would provide kind of leadership that says, get on the stick, guys, and stop messing around and cut where you need to cut, because we're not raising any spending limits, period.
This is debt that's already obligated. Would you not favor increasing the debt limit to pay the debts already incurred?
What I'm saying is what we have to do is restructure the way that we create debt.
Okay, that was actually both incredibly painful and awkward and hilarious at the same time.
Looking at the AP course in American history that's being taught in high schools across our country right now, most people, when they finish that course, they'd be ready to go sign up for ISIS.